Welcome to episode 18 of the Bikini Besties podcast. I'm Lauren.
Kaylia.
Stephanie.
And today's episode is what is studying bikini mean? But before we dive into our topic, per usual, we'll do some prep and reverse and life updates. Y'all are gonna make me go first.
Yep. Absolutely. You knew it.
You did last time because I'm the only one technically in prep. But also big life update today. Yay! By the time this comes out, we'll have announced it. So
Yeah.
we're engaged. Last night, Anthony surprised me. We were doing a little photo shoot with Cody, and I thought it was just a little post-show photo shoot for him up on Table Rock. If you're from the Boise area, you know where that is. And that's actually where we had our first date and hangout ever. We hiked Table Rock, so it was kind of like a sentimental thing plus a really killer view. So we went up there at like sunset. Cody helped bring up all this, like, we had flash equipment and light stands.
Wow.
And
Dang.
he had 2 cameras set up, and he's like, oh, I'm just filming some behind the scenes. And he had like a camera rolling like with video. I thought he was just filming some behind the scenes. I had no idea that he had a reason.
No.
Cute.
And then I was like mid shooting. Cody was shooting some shots of me, and Anthony had told me to like take some shots with Lily. This is my dog Lily. And when Lily came up to me, it took me a little bit to figure it out. But the ring was attached to her little harness here. And yeah.
Oh,
Y'all know what
the
happens from
cutest.
there. And I said yes, obviously. And then in true prep fashion, like to celebrate, we stopped for some Diet Dr. Peppers on the way home.
That's the best.
Ate some meal prep and, just had a little night in, which was really nice. Because prep is definitely still prepping. We are at like my all-time lowest macros of this prep, which is crazy. But I did have a high day yesterday, a high carb day, which was like perfect timing because I actually had like life in me for shooting. And
Oh,
for
yeah, that probably helped.
yeah, I actually like felt good because the night before I was just really, really drained. And when we recorded on Wednesday, so it was only a few days ago when we recorded the last episode, I was like really worried about post-travel, like inflammation, weight spike. And literally like that next morning, I had like a big weight drop to like my previous low. And then the next morning, another drop.
Nice.
And then this morning, I'm up like half a pound from that, which is good.
Yeah.
After a high day and staying up
That's
till
really
like
good.
midnight.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
So now once you get like some good sleep, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, so rest day today, and then I'm gonna get some sleep, and yeah, I think we're on to the next little phase of prep, and it looks like kind of like picking an actual show is soon. Probably next
All the exciting things are
4-ish
happening.
weeks. We'll see.
Yes. I'm so happy you regulated and came back down and everything. 'Cause,
Yeah,
it's
I was
stressful.
worried, but it like
Mhm.
like I said, just stick
Sometimes
into
you
the
just have to do
plan.
those like little mini freakouts. You're just
Yeah.
like, let me
Yeah.
feel my feels.
Yeah.
Let me, and then
Yeah.
it's like universe is like, aha.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like,
All
oh, and then
Right.
of course Anthony's like, told you so.
That's funny. Of course.
They're like, well, yeah, but
But you don't know in the moment. So you're
Yeah.
like, I just
Yeah.
feel like this.
So yeah, it's going good. I'm hungry. You don't need to lick the mic. I'm hungry because it's the day after my high day.
Mm.
Those
So
are hard.
yeah,
How
I
much-
feel
what,
like
what was your high day like? Like, what did they? Was it just an increase in carbs? Or?
just carbs. So we left
Mhm.
fats and protein the same,
Mhm.
and then pretty much doubled my carbs,
That's
which
nice.
still was only like a total of 13 something hundred calories. So that tells you how
Don't
low.
focus on the
Yes,
negative.
yeah,
Focus on the
yeah.
positive. You got double the carbs.
Yeah.
But it felt crazy. I was like, I'm eating a little English muffin. I'm having some rice.
There you go.
I'm having some cream of rice. This is the best. I'm having a little extra strawberries and blueberries with my meals.
Yeah.
So it was like perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next day you wake up and your body's like, so again?
Yeah. It's like
Round two?
please. And I'm
Right?
like,
I
nah,
know.
today.
It's a little bit more hungry, yeah.
Yeah, but we're good. We're good. Yeah. So that's life and prep.
Yay.
all good things. I'm really excited and happy and tired.
Yeah.
Happy and tired at the same time. But we're
Yeah.
happy for you. That's super
Thank you.
exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And special thanks to Cody. He's took some amazing
The photos are
photos.
cool. They're
They're
so
gorgeous.
cool
Killer. I can't wait to.
for the internet to
post them.
see.
Yes. Share them all. So my reverse is going well. I think we're going to be starting prep hopefully sometime soon. Definitely within the next month or so. I have some shows picked out post Olympia because I have 2 weddings in September, one in BC, Canada, and then one in Italy. So I have
So cool.
some
Fun.
travels
That's cool.
coming up. But that's why I kind of wanted to compete late fall. And so no 2 preps are the same. So I'm excited to just kind of see how this goes. And this is the leanest I've started. So I think that we'll hopefully be feeding a little bit more into the show, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But cardio training and everything's been good. The only thing I've complained about is the fact that I can't train shoulders anymore. And so I have a couple more rest days than I'm used to. And so I don't love active rest days because I just want to go to the gym.
What have you been doing on your rest days?
My plyometric
Oh,
workout
Oh,
this
God.
week. So this week I started doing a plyometric workout with my husband. The other day I try to go do just something active. So we did like mini golf the other day. That wasn't super active, but like we like to do pickleball.
Yeah.
And stuff like that for an hour or so. And so just kind of getting out there, which is nice, And then you're not in the
It's
gym.
different.
And it's just different.
And then you
so
get to spend time with like your
yeah,
husband.
exactly. My dog, my husband, and so that part's been nice. But I just still wake up like I feel like I'm missing something. Like I haven't done something today. Like it's just like this feeling of like I haven't done something. But I'm sure like as the weeks go by, I'll get more used to it, and all
And then
that.
it'll change, and you'll probably still not gonna have your shoulder days, huh?
No,
Yeah,
I
never
know,
mind.
I just-
Never mind. That's like a permanent thing, and
Right?
you're
I know,
kind of
I
a permanent.
know. I'm like, unless I want to grow into figure, but probably not. My back is like that.
Selfishly, I want you to stay at Bikini.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
What would we call the
Right?
podcast?
That's true, right?
You literally can't.
Right? It wouldn't work at
Real.
all. Bikini and figure besties. I don't know.
Figure
that would
besties.
not work.
Bikini besties
Right?
and plus
And set.
figure.
Plus figure.
Plus-
and
plus
set,
one.
Exactly.
Plus one.
What about you?
Oh, yeah. What are reversing? So we're like 6 weeks post show. It's going good. I'm in improvement season. Like we're not like we're just like I think I mentioned last time. I'm taking the rest of the year off, and it's going good. We're just I'm at like 2,100 calories. I'm still like a 5 pounds ish above my low weight, and so just working the food up as
Yeah.
little each week as we can, and just little increases, and cardio is like 5 days a week, 25 minutes. It's easy. Just I'm focused on my main focus is lifting, so I'm just like super honed in on my glute training and just making sure that my workouts are super productive. I changed up my schedule. I work out really early in the morning now. It's just where I feel the best, have the most energy, and like I just am. There's like hardly anyone at the gym, and like no one, and so I just get to like go in and just like work out
Yeah.
and just and so so yeah, I'm just super focused on training. Yeah, we're doing good.
I
We're
love
doing
it.
really feel good. I feel really, really good, and this is I love improvement season.
Yeah.
This is where I like to live.
Yes.
I love this
The
phase.
energy.
So yeah, so we'll see about starting prep either like December, January, but
That's
That's
awesome.
where I'm at. Yeah.
I'm really inspired by your reverse. I really I keep thinking about it. I'm like, that is exactly like what I want to do. So that I'm going to like so determined to stay on track after my prep.
Mhm.
So I'm like, I just love seeing how it's gone for you. And I'm like,
Thank
okay,
you.
gives me hope. I can do that too.
You can do it. You can do it. And like the more you do it, like the longer I've just been like gone. I'm like, because like the other day I think I texted you guys. I was like, because I have this weird thing in my brain when I hit my weight was like dropping, and then it kind of went back. It kind of went back to no. I don't know what's happened. I'm back to my 5 pounds, but it was like dropping for a few days in a row, like little tiny baby drops, but like it was still dropping. And I have this weird thing when that happens. I'm like, well, I'm technically supposed to be like not dropping weight, and so that means I can go eat out, and then that means I can. And I do this like game in my head of
Yeah.
like it's like I have extra credit, and then I can just get
Yeah.
ahead of the.
Yeah.
But then I was like, no, just don't do that, because I am gonna have an untracked like day and a half for 4th of July,
Mhm.
and just some plans and stuff. And so I was like, no, don't do that. Just you want to work your calories up, like structured calories up. Like that's the point. So if you are like weight is going down, then that means we increase structured food and just let those calories get as high as they can. So I didn't do anything and I just stuck to my meal plan and we're good. So.
And you do a good job at making your meals like stuff you enjoy.
Yeah.
And like mixing things in and having really good variety. So it's like not boring still.
No, like I started making those like donuts that I have. Those like these protein.
Oh my gosh.
Really? They look so good.
So good.
Even
guys.
your little like wraps things you were just eating now. I was like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that looks so good. It's so
Well, I
simple.
tried to. Well, what I thought of is like I'm like, okay, when I want to go out eat out, what is it? It's like I want like the reason why I added in a bagel every day, and I made it. I like cut up the bagel and I make these little like, it's like a bagel slice, so it's bread and then chicken sausage on top, and I wrap it in lettuce. So it's like a lettuce wrap but with bread in it. I don't know.
Yeah.
And because I was craving like deli sandwiches, I really wanted to go out and eat like deli sandwiches, and I was like, okay, just how can I get that at home? So I started making that, and I'm like, that satisfied that craving. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I have my donuts that I'm obsessed with donuts. And so I was like, okay, my last food increase, I was like, I'll just make these donuts and I have 2 a day with my creamy. And it completely satisfies the donut craving.
That's
Like I'm
awesome.
not walking around just wanting to go out and get donuts. And so I was like,
Love it.
so I'm trying to do, if I crave something, the one thing I have not been able to like is chips and salsa. Like I really want chips and salsa.
Really?
But it's I love chips and salsa. I like sitting down, getting a Diet Coke, chips and salsa, Mexican route. Like I just like that.
Yeah.
But like nothing to me satisfies that. Like I want a
that's a
tortilla
tough
chip,
one.
salty tortilla chip
Yeah.
and salsa. Come on. I don't untracked. I don't want to track the stupid chips. So yeah, that's the only thing. But
You'll
yeah.
incorporate a few more free meals and
Yeah,
just have
yeah.
to make sure
Next
that's
week,
one of them.
yeah, next week we're gonna go to this Korean barbecue place, and then you just like cook the meat in front of you, and I love it's like all you can eat meat, and like oh my god, I'm so excited.
So good.
And so we're gonna go there, and then I don't know, we'll see what else we do, but
I love that. Yeah, I've been like looking at like online at food, and the thing is like I used to only look at like really indulgent like things, and lately like I was like scrolling and I was like, I'm literally looking at like super healthy recipes of things that I want to make. It just has a little bit higher calories
Right.
than what my macros allow right now. I'm like, but it like almost had me excited of like, oh, I can make this with like mixing in cottage cheese and adding this, and I'm gonna make these like really good meals when I have a little higher macros. I'm like, it was kind of like a cool feeling to be like,
not
like-
fixated on the like
Yeah.
brunch
yeah,
thing, like the
Or the things stuffed with peanut butter.
Yeah.
and-
yeah, or like just
Deep fried
cookies
and-
and
yeah.
yeah, and or big burgers, and I'm
Yeah.
like, no, like it was kind of cool. I was like looking at these recipes, and they were just like high protein little meal things, and I'm like, yeah, it's kind of cool. Once I'm a little less like close to a show, like if I'm reversing, like I want to incorporate these like recipes,
Yeah.
in,
Yeah. You're
and
less
like
food-
more
make
variety.
things,
Yeah.
and like just really enjoy like my
some more flavor and
Yeah.
some yeah
and some mixing more stuff. It takes a little more effort because you have to like track each ingredient, kind of thing.
yeah.
But like, it's
You have
worth
the
it.
time. You'll
It's
have
Yeah.
the time.
worth
Yeah. to do it then. Yeah.
Yes.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of our updates are pretty short today because I think we just gave you guys some more in-depth ones in our last episode, and not much has changed since last
We're all
Wednesday.
just coasting. We're all
Yeah.
just coasting
Yeah.
along.
just chipping through our plans, and it's exciting.
I think like enjoying like life stuff more too. Like I know I've been like just like trying to kind of put my phone away. I'm like we play pickleball too. Our dogs love to go into the court, and we let them in the court. And like Stanley, we've learned, loves to chase the ball. So he's like we have golden retrievers, so he's literally retrieving the ball. But our dogs don't play catch, like they don't, or fetch. Like we didn't like we were more cuddly with them as puppies. We didn't like play fetch or catch or anything like that with them, so they didn't like learn that, and so they just like are kind of little idiots, and they don't go retrieve anything. And so, but the pickleball, Stanley loves it, and like will run after it and go get it for us and stuff. So I'm like, oh, it's an easy way to get him exercise, and so we'll play pickleball, but really it's like we're watching Stanley like chase the balls that we miss.
Doubles one day. We'll have to do
Yeah,
it. We do
yeah.
have to do it.
Yeah, so we've been doing that. We've been taking them we've been going like on to different parks and like walking that, like just getting out more and like that's what we've been
Perfect
doing.
time with summer.
Yeah.
too.
So nice.
Getting
right? To have
outside.
higher activity that's just not the gym.
Not the gym. Yes,
Yeah,
that's the
just
thing. Is
extra.
like just extra and
Yeah.
just not on a treadmill, and
Mhm.
that because I've been getting everything done in the morning, like before 9 o'clock or whatever. So then like all day I work and then just take breaks to like go
Yeah.
hang out with them and walk
It
around
just reminds your
outside.
body how much you love to move.
Yes.
Instead of like having to move. It's
Have
like,
it.
I want
Yes, I
to
want
move.
to move. I want to get off the
Yeah.
couch from
Yeah.
working, go outside and walk around, and play
No,
pickleball and do
exactly.
things, and
I
Yeah.
like
All
that
the
a
fun stuff.
lot.
so yeah.
But I also remember being in prep and be like, hey, I've done everything, and the couch.
And
is
the couch.
involved.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Deep into prep, low
Yes.
food. You're
Yeah.
not wanting to play pickleball.
Yeah. No. No.
That's what I was like. I was so grateful that yesterday my high carb day lined up with like having a eventful evening because like even
Becoming a fiance.
because even then we had to like hike quite a ways up. Even because we like drove up to the backside of Table Rock, but they like moved it so you can't park as close to the gate. You have to like
okay.
park like way down the hill,
Mhm.
And then walk up.
and yeah, walk up the backside a little bit, but it's shorter than the hike, so which is a compromise. But it was still a lot of walking. I hit like almost 22,000 steps yesterday. I was like,
Yeah.
You were.
so I was so tired. I'm so tired today. I think,
I'm
but
feeling it.
just from
Mhm.
the activity, and my steps are a little lower today, and I'm like, I'm okay with it today.
8:39 p.m. bedtime, the best. I slept for 9 hours
Mm-hmm.
yesterday. Whew, so good. I woke
Oh.
up and I was like, where am I?
Lucky. Oh, where am I?
Like, this was one of those sleeps
What is
where
this
I felt
universe?
Like, yeah, I slept for like 48
Oh
hours
my
or
god, I
something.
have no idea how to sleep that long.
Yeah,
I'm
I
hoping
don't know.
that's me tonight. I'm like, I can go to bed early. My food's
Right?
low. I'll just finish it and then go to bed.
I
went
want to
to-
get back to my morning routine because I like getting everything done before 9 or 9:30, and I found that I've started to sleep in a little bit more because I don't have to.
Right.
And I'm like, no, but it makes you feel so much better than
Yeah.
doing it after work, and so I have to get back to myself.
Back to
She's
myself.
She's left the building for this
But
week.
sometimes
I
you
don't
like
know.
need that break though, like
Yeah.
because you had like so much cardio to do and so many.
And I'm such a
and
5 a.m. person.
Yes, but
Mhm.
sometimes I feel like it's
Yeah.
kind of nice to give yourself like in this moment where
Yeah.
you've got the less cardio, not in prep, like
Yeah.
give yourself that.
Because I know it's
Break.
coming back.
It's coming back.
It's coming back. So I have this weird.
It's like your
scarcity
body
thing, yeah.
telling you, I think though, that like no, we like this.
We
It's
like
a little bit
this,
more
let's
chill,
relax, right?
and yeah, I
Exactly.
feel I don't know.
No, you're totally right because it does feel good. Like when I wake up, I go to work and I'm like, oh, the only thing that freaks me out is that my watch isn't like halfway done.
Oh,
I'm like looking at it, it looks like
Yeah.
it's like hardly moved, and I'm like,
usually I'm
it's
halfway
so
done by now.
weird. But yeah, no, I'm trying to take the break because I know in like 2 or 3 weeks I'll be like, why did you not
gonna
take the break?
amp back up.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But there was a lot of shows this weekend,
Mhm.
and so I know you bought the live and
I
was
did
watching
at the
and
indie. Yeah,
everything.
I watched. Yeah,
Which one? Indie.
indie.
Indie Pro.
I watched that one.
There was
yeah,
also like a St. Pete's.
Yeah, that
Pro
was
or
a
something?
Masters.
Is that a
Pro
Masters
show.
only?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't watch that
It's
one or
just
follow that
Masters.
one.
Mhm.
They had a lot of Masters divisions. They had like all of them, like 35, 40, 45, 50, 55,
Yeah.
60. It was like,
Oh wow.
It was incredible to just see some
Yeah.
of those women. Yeah, they're incredible athletes. But
yeah.
I think it brings us to our topic on studying bikini and what to look for in shows. What to take away from shows, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
if you're watching shows. So I guess what are some things that you guys look for or focus
Yeah.
on when you're studying?
Well, you
bikini
kind of
shows?
like inspired us with this topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
'cause you've
had
some people ask you.
Yeah, I had a client that was like, I was posing her, and at the end of the session, she's like, I hear you talk about like studying bikini, and like, and she listens to the podcast, and she's like, what does studying the sport mean? And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Like I've never been
Yeah.
asked what does
Yeah.
it mean, and so I was like, oh, and then I thought like that probably would be something good for us to talk about, and I think like to me, like when I say like what is studying bikini, like it's watching shows. So no matter what level you are, if you're a regional level competitor, it's important I think to pay attention to like regional shows. That's the level that you're at. And the next level you're trying to get to.
Mhm.
I think it's good like to pay attention to if you're a regional, the pro level. Like we look up
It's
to these.
fun.
It's fun,
Yeah.
but you still need to make sure that you're paying attention to the level you're in,
Mhm.
because sometimes you guys are pros and you guys
Mhm.
can do different things on stage than
Mhm.
the amateur level can. And so
Mhm.
sometimes if amateurs are too focused on the pro level, they're like, well, they do this and they do that and they look like this,
Mhm.
but it's like they've been working on this for
Yeah,
years.
it's
Like
kind of confusing.
it's a
'Cause
little
you're looking at the wrong thing, and the stage time and posing is different.
but even
and-
the bodies, the physiques, like you guys are gonna look so much like denser, just different shapes, different,
muscularity.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then even
Maturity,
sometimes conditioning and
Yeah.
compared to a regional level competitor or
Right.
or someone just getting into nationals, like, and so it's good to know what you're striving for, I think, but it's good to pay attention to the current level that you're at and then maybe one level above.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And like even as like if you even if you are a beginner amateur, someone who's just following the sport, it's fun to watch the pros too because it's like kind of like
inspiring.
yeah, it's inspiring and like it's kind of like for me like the show day weekends are kind of like how like some people are like it's like Monday night football or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
It's Saturday show day week or show day. It's Saturday
bikini
show day.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that for me. Like I truly just enjoy like following who's competing where. Like I know their names. I look at the lists every Monday when they come out, and I like look up who's competing. Not because I'm looking at competing with them, but because I'm like curious.
You're a fan of the sport, and
as a fan. So that's kind of a fun part about it, but I do highly agree. Like if you are like starting out, like going and attending regional shows, if there's one near you, even if you're not competing for a while, because you can kind of actually see how they're going. Oh, she's gonna be Steph's friend, I guess. Because you can actually see what it's like because it's so much different in person.
Yeah.
And you can see how the judges move people around, how they do call outs, how they do things,
how long
how
they're
it
up there,
works.
how
And then studying like the national level, like I love watching national shows because it's like a really good indicator of like what's like trending posing wise in basic posing, conditioning. Are they like looking for how conditioned are athletes? Are they softer, harder? And
yeah, I think so. I say like watching shows is one way of studying the sport. So no matter what level you're at, but watching the show, going to shows or watching live streams, if you can purchase the live stream and paying attention to things like like you mentioned, like what does conditioning look like? And you can ask you may not know these things as an athlete, but you can ask your coach. Like you can study, pay attention and ask your coach, but look at the development of the girls that are placing in first call outs and winning shows, and then pay attention to their posing, pay attention to their presentation, makeup, hair, suit color, like just pay attention to all the details. Like that's what studying is it's just watching these shows, watching these athletes do the sport that you're participating in.
absolutely.
And then paying attention to, so like you mentioned, like what the judges are having them do. What if all of a sudden there's a trend where we no longer have girls walk to the back? I don't know. That it's like studying a show is like how do you pick up on a trend if you don't pay attention and watch it?
And it helps you like prepare yourself to be a better athlete and to be a better competitor and to even set goals on what you want to do if you like know what you're trying to achieve.
One thing I do when I watch shows, especially with pro shows, is screen record the comparison round. And I know I share it with you guys when we post together.
I did that with Indy. I have all the...
There you go. Yeah, exactly. And so then when I'm drilling my comparison posing, I actually listen to that show and listen to what the judges are calling, just to also maybe not get used to the verbiage anymore, but it used to help me really get used to the verbiage.
What it sounds like to be.
Yeah, exactly. But more the timing too, just of how long they're on stage. And I think it really, really helps. It gets me in the mood at least.
Yes.
Yeah. And the energy. You can hear music. You can hear the judges. It's like a
vibe. Like
yes.
you can almost like, and I think like what Steph was speaking of is comparison drilling. Like it's good because you're not watching the video, you're just listening to it. And so while you're practicing posing, you can kind of like visualize and feel like you're on stage. So it helps you get practice at just that stage energy to practicing to those kind of videos. I think that's like literally one of the best ways to practice posing, because what matters is comparisons. And then if you've got what a show really sounds like playing in your ear while you're drilling it and like having to hold poses for long periods of time and get used to the pace that you could have to transition and stuff, it's perfect. It's the best way to practice posing. But I think like not even just watching shows, but also another way that you can study the sport is looking at, so you can go on the NPC News Online website and pull up like who are the winners of your class, or if it's at the pro level, of that show, and then you can pull up your pictures and you can study, like put them side by side. I did that recently, and that's kind of what really decided to me was like we're gonna improve. We're not prepping this year, the rest of this year. Is that I just put all my pictures next to each other and I study like what are the pro card earners, what do they look like, and it's just obvious. And so you can do that same thing, and to kind of, and you and your coach can work together on like, okay, we need to bring up shoulders, probably lats, I don't know, whatever the case may be. But that's a way of kind of studying the division, studying the sport, is looking at who's winning. But I also think it's we have social media nowadays, and so it's something I do is, so the girls that are like winning pro cards, because I'm at the national level, so I am paying close attention to the girls that are winning their pro cards, are in the overalls, and then like paying attention to what, like following them online to like stay up to date of like what's their feedback, what was judges feedback that they gave them, and then in that feedback what changes. Now yes, I'm not them, but it's still like what were the judges telling them they need to be successful at this next level, and then what kind of changes are they making, or what are they doing, whether it's changing their suit or their hair or their posing, or growing this or growing that, or not growing this or growing that, and why. That's studying, like.
And sometimes that kind of helps you with your eye as well. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure that when you look at their photos, you can almost guess what you think the judges might have said, and then go and look and see if your eye is also just as
That's a good point.
credible. Because then it only helps you be self-aware and be more critical of yourself to see what the judges might say or you might need to improve.
I think that's perfect. Be more self-aware, because as you are trying to progress in the sport, you are not always going to win. You're going to lose more than you win.
Yes.
And
unfortunately,
yeah,
that is definitely
you-
the
As we all
case.
picture our
we do.
worst placings.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, you're going to lose more than you win, and so it makes you become more self-aware, so that, and then you can just look at each show as like, yeah, you'll have your moment and you'll be a little bit sad and you wish you got this, but you can at least look at each show and go, and your eye is improving, and you're like, okay, that's why, all right, we're gonna go improve this, we're gonna change this and try again at this show.
Right.
Like, you just get more desensitized, like, I don't know, just
Objective.
Yeah.
objective. Okay,
Yeah.
objective.
Yeah.
And just take things less personally.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Because sometimes it's just not your day.
Yeah.
It's just not your day. And
Yeah.
There's only one winner.
Yeah.
And you can
It's
like
just what
look
it
at
is.
like comparison photos from that show and be like, oh, okay, I can see why. And you can like maybe try to put yourself in like judge's shoes and be like, okay, so me standing next to her, I can see like in the back pose, like I'm lacking some of this, or
Right.
oh my gosh, like I totally didn't realize my weight distribution was so off in my front pose because I've been practicing with a mirror and I didn't realize I was like off on my front pose when I was actually on stage. Like I've had that, like we made an adjustment with the front pose and then I like went on stage and I was like, it looked like I was doing something so weird the whole time because I was like trying to make that correction in my head, but I didn't have the muscle memory for it. And so it looks like I was like leaning. It was like
Tilting forward.
yeah, it was like weird. So it's like things like that. Like I wouldn't have realized I was doing that except for I went back and I looked at prejudging photos and I was like, I'm not doing that at finals.
Yeah, you went back and studied your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I was rewatching my Optimum comparisons, one thing that I noticed was that I was always just a touch slower going from back to front. And this wasn't anything that the judges said or any of my critique. It was just something that when I watched everything, I was just a little bit critical as to like what things kind of made me stand out maybe in a negative way or just not as polished maybe, or just stand out in any way, I guess. And so some things are negative, some things are positive. So this one, I felt like every time I turned, I was just a second or maybe a second and a half behind. And so to me, when I watched, my eyes went more to the girls that turned faster than to me. And so that's something that I'm going to work on just in terms of posing, but that's just being self-critical and being able to go back and just see and really watch the videos and watch for things that you might want to change, whether or not the judges tell you about it. So
Yeah.
that was just something small.
Because judges can't, like, they're watching so many girls, they can't pick out, unless that was your only flaw, right? Like, or like your only thing that really drew their eye to why they didn't place you or whatever. But they're like, they can't like focus on all of those details. So
Yeah,
it
they're not
is
writing down
good.
like 10 things.
10
have
things. They
one
don't
or
have
two
time.
things.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
1 to 2 maybe like and
And it's for you to interpret too, because I
yeah.
know my feedback was to bring more stage energy, and maybe if I flipped around a little faster,
Maybe that was it.
maybe that's it. But
Yeah.
they're not going to tell you bring
Right.
more stage energy by doing this, 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 this. Especially at the pro level, they expect you to take that feedback
and you figure it.
exactly,
And
you figure it out.
You,
as
your
the-
coach,
you and your coach, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
absolutely.
they're not going to give you the house
Yeah.
typically at all. They're just going to be like, I need this, and then
Mhm.
now it's up. Yeah,
Up
And
to you to
you.
sometimes I
figure it
feel a
out.
little bit nerdy because I'm like, I want to figure out how by myself.
Mhm.
And then bring out that, bring that new package the next time. So they're like, wow. I almost want them to ask me, what did you do?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the
Because-
difference?
Yeah,
And-
exactly.
'cause you
Because I
showed up
studied and
more.
I looked and I was meticulous about it.
And
Yeah, and
Oh.
the details, just
Mhm.
the little things.
an example I have of studying the sport, which changed my suit color. So, the 2 years I took off, I got really into studying, and I got really into like kind of like social media stalking. Like, and I just like I watched so many interviews of judges. I watched like Tyler, Becky, Sandy. Anytime they were doing podcast judges, like that's also studying the sport.
Yes.
It's not just watching shows. It's not just
Absolutely.
looking at your own stuff. It is following the experts, the leaders in our industry, and what do they have to say? What is their advice? What is their history in the sport?
Yeah.
Like it's that. And so I got really into just studying podcasts and interviews that these people were on and listening to them talk about shows, how they judge, talk about athletes and stuff like that. And one thing it was a coach now I can't remember. Anyways, they were talking about like girls who wear red suits. So I love the color red, and my suit has always been red. But I also have had tanning issues,
Yeah.
and just with my skin type and everything. And I heard this coach who got feedback from a judge that they didn't like her red suit, and they didn't think it mixed well with her skin tone, and that's when I really learned about skin tone and suits, and like I still wouldn't say I'm an expert on it, but I learned more about it.
Yeah.
And then I applied like. Why I say it's important to pay attention to other athletes' feedback is because these were other athletes. They weren't me, but they were these were people getting feedback that wore red suits that like red probably they want to see them try different colors because they don't like how it looks on their skin tone and with the tan. And I thought then like, oh, maybe that's the issue I'm having too. Like red's just not my color. I like red, but
Yeah.
it's not for me.
Yeah.
And for stage, it's
Yeah.
not for stage.
And it might be in your top 5, but it's just not your number one.
It's not my number one.
You
It doesn't
look
look
amazing in red, but blue.
and maybe now that
is
I
like-
figured out the tan,
Yeah.
maybe I could bring it back
Yeah.
and see and try it and
Yeah.
stuff. But then I was like, girls like with really dark hair like me, and like
Yeah.
I have like just like my eye, like I don't know. I just studied girls that had a little bit of the features that I have
Yes.
and the suit colors they wore, and so I was like, okay, we're gonna try blue. And then I think that I wouldn't say, I don't know yet if blue is my color, but it's way better than red
Yeah.
for me
Yeah.
the on stage. And so it's stuff studying the sport brought me to that result and
Yeah.
a result. Oh my gosh. And so that's an example of like of
And
studying.
I think you bring up something super important with when you're looking at other athletes, making sure that if you are going to mimic something or go down that path, that they have the same, generally the same skin tone as you, maybe the same height, maybe, I don't know,
build or something like
aesthetic or
Yeah.
I don't know, but just making
Yeah.
sure that you find someone that's very, very similar. I know that when I was starting out, Ashley Janelle was a huge pro for me that I really looked up to because we had a similar build. We were similar in terms of skin tone and similar height and that sort of thing. And so that's why the next suit that I really want to try is like a purple, like a bright purple, like the
Oh
same
yeah,
as
she
my
did
blue.
rock purple, didn't she?
Yeah, but not as royal
Ooh.
as hers, but more I was looking at like the lilac purple.
Ooh.
Because when I wear that color scrubs, everyone is always
that's
like,
right. I have seen you in
in
those
the
scrubs.
purple scrubs.
Yes.
So I was like, I might try lilac
Ooh,
next.
I like
Ooh,
this.
that'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
Because I figured out that the brighter looks better on me, like than the
Yeah.
kind of jewel tones.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yes.
I love the red, but I think
It might
my
be too deep
yeah,
for
I think
you.
my undertones are more reddish,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think it just kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I love red. I love red on other people. I agree. You gotta have like this mourning for red.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like I asked my coach what color suit I should wear, and literally the only one he said no for me was red.
A lot
He's like,
of
"No red."
coaches actually do that. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's because it's kind of like the pinks and the blacks. It's a
Mhm.
riskier color because of the skin tone thing.
Yeah,
Like
and he's like, and I think red
Yeah,
also takes a personality.
Yeah.
Like I don't have it's more of like I don't know, like
red's like a
Sultry, do you think?
power, like
Yeah.
it's like this strong, like
Mhm.
I don't know, a loud, powerful
Yeah.
color.
yeah, and I
like
think I exude more of a sweeter, girlier,
sweet-
like
Yeah.
look when I'm on stage.
a sweet fun. I
Yeah.
feel like you're
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like
Mhm.
not that I couldn't, I've done red and I loved it, but like it was like I think just like my personality, like it didn't go with it as much,
Mhm.
if that makes sense too.
Yeah.
Because it's just like even because you're what you feel best in kind of has to be what shows
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
And I don't feel my strongest when I wear red.
Yeah.
Like I think it's pretty on other people. I think it's a gorgeous suit color,
Mhm.
but like I'm more like I'm just softer, like little
Mhm.
like I love pink and turquoise and
Mhm.
and like blues and
Yeah.
greens.
But that's not feedback you've ever gotten.
No,
either.
actually,
So
no, I didn't
remember
get
that,
feedback.
that's never been feedback that any of us have ever gotten. This is just from us
Mhm.
studying and being self-aware.
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah.
And I wanted to kind of go back to you said you're like you got really into studying podcasts and stuff too. I felt like this year I have as well. And not because we started the podcast. It was like
Yeah.
way before that.
Yeah.
But I think that maybe even inspired us being like, we can share too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it absolutely did.
But
we all watch similar ones.
Yes,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
we
Mhm.
do. But I like watching multiple different ones, like even if it's like a review on a show, like if it's
Yes.
a
Mhm.
coach or
Different perspectives of
yeah, or a judge, or because like I know like Tyler gives some, but then there's like different coaches and
Yep.
stuff who give them, and like coaches are of opinions. They're not the judge that was at the show,
Mhm.
so it's like it's their bias or their opinion.
Yeah.
But then you listen to another one and you like hear something different. But I just like hearing how like other people interpret what I saw too. So like
Yeah.
I'll watch like a live stream or photos and stuff and I'll like be like, "Oh, I think it should have been so and so," or "Oh, I can't believe I don't know why this person didn't place." And then I'll listen to like a show review on a podcast and they'll like explain their thoughts and I'll listen to another one and they'll have a little different thoughts on it. And it's just it's kind of like bikini's such a subjective sport anyway. Like it's interesting to hear different perspectives on how other people view the same thing you're viewing.
Yeah.
And so I kind of like to hear their insights. They have usually if you're following a reputable podcast, they have a lot of experience. And so you kind of like to hear like what their experience brings.
A lot of the podcasts we listen to, those coaches, they've been around the game for a while and they're having actual personal conversations with the judges, like and so they're having like phone calls and they're talking through their athletes, because these are athletes we're talking about people at the pro level going to Olympia or at the Olympia level.
Yeah.
And so they're having personal conversations, direct feedback from these judges specifically about their athlete. And so then what they do is they take that information and they talk about it on their podcast and it teaches everyone like this is coming from the judge's mouth and like the head judge at this show wants this is why they placed. And so I think that is awesome that they do that, to be able to give that kind of information back to the athletes trying to get to that level.
And I feel like even at that level, one thing that I noticed is none of them use language that is very like permanent.
Right.
Like everything is very like, this is what we think.
Yes.
This is like
Subject to change.
I wasn't at the show, and so this is just my perspective. They use language that's
this could be the lighting, but
they're not
Exactly.
concrete on their
Yeah.
thoughts and opinions.
Yeah,
it's
they're not like this person was first because this person didn't do
Right.
this and this person
maybe
didn't do this.
because of this, and
It's
if they
all-
did this, it
yeah.
might do this. Like
Exactly. And so that should teach you how you should be thinking about it too.
Yeah.
The coaches that say, this person shouldn't have gotten first. I'm very wary of people like that, because it's not that definitive. It just isn't.
no.
yeah, because a lot of times I've even heard like a good coach talk on his podcast, and he says like it could have gone either way. Like I
Yeah.
would have been
Yep.
happy if I could argue either
Yeah,
way
either
for
side.
these
Yes.
3 people or
Mhm.
something. He's like, if the judges had placed it this way, I could see why because X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
But they did it this way, and I see why.
Yeah.
So it's like it's kind of interesting. It's I think I
It
find it very
opens your
interesting.
mind.
Yes.
It just
Yeah.
opens your mind. And
Mhm.
like, I think it just makes like having any and all the information you can and just how this sport like works and stuff. Like I think it just, to me at least, it's really just set me up to like, I'm okay with whatever happens. Like
Yeah.
I just really focus on what me and what I can do
Yeah.
and what I can change and bring.
Yeah.
And by listening to that judge's feedback about me, and then, okay, I want to show up and show them that I listened, and
Yes.
then that's
And
all
it
you can
worked,
do
yeah.
and have
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
And I think I've also studied some podcasts like your coach's podcast, Paul's podcast,
Yes.
Oh.
Pro Physique Code one is really good on just even some other informational things. Like I think you sent me one a few months ago when we started this, we were talking about like the heart rate with
Yeah.
cardio,
Mm-hmm.
and you sent me something about heart rate
Mhm.
intensity and things like that, and he kind of went into a little bit more like depth of scientific reasons of why you would do this or a different type of cardio,
Yeah.
and just sometimes even having like hearing the thoughts of an experienced coach go over why they would do this or this.
Different strategies. Like,
Yeah,
mhm.
like it didn't change my plan with my coach,
Right.
but it changed how I approached what my coach was telling me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, yeah, that's
Because
good.
my coach was like, wanting me to do intentional X minutes of cardio on incline walk, but like
Mhm.
I was like, okay, but I need to make sure I'm doing this intensity consistently and this heart
Mhm.
rate and like little things that I could do to execute my coach's plan better
Yeah.
with a little bit more intentionality.
Oh my gosh.
Intentional.
Intentionality.
Yeah.
Intentionally.
I don't know how to say that.
Intentionally?
Intentionally?
No, not the way she used it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And more intentional.
No.
I don't know. I don't know.
Syntax here.
Let's just all sound stupid together.
Okay.
But just like, like being a little bit more.
Leave a comment and help us out.
Yeah,
What was
like,
the word?
Tell me the word. A prep brain here. I can blame it. I'm very low carb
I have no
today.
excuse. I don't know.
I have no idea.
But, like it just like made it so like when I'm looking at things like even like I track macros, and so like listening to a podcast regarding nutrition,
Mhm.
like there was a part of time where I was like my digestion was what I was like almost plateauing, and I was like not having poor digestion, but could it have been more optimal? I switched some things out, like adding some fermented foods and things like that, because I was watching podcasts on nutrition, and like it's your choice what you put in your body. Like with your macros, you could easily eat protein bars, but I know those don't digest well. They're not as satiating. They're not as volume. Like it's just not as ideal for my prep.
Yep.
And so I plan things and learn how to do other things. And even like, not everybody is as lucky to have like friends like you guys, where you're like, oh, I tried this oat bran, or like, or I
Yeah.
do this. Like, and that's like how I kind of have adjusted certain things.
Yeah.
I do-
Listening to a podcast
Yep.
or studying what other people are doing, it gives you an idea to try, because there's more than just rice and sweet potatoes for
Right.
carb sources.
Asparagus.
Is that a carb source?
No, that's always a big one. I'm like, oh yes, everyone's on asparagus.
I do the same thing with like I study like training. So for me, it's like training my glutes.
Oh,
like
yeah. I saw you put
Yeah.
a new one on your story this morning. Yeah,
they
I
love
saw
it.
that one. Yeah,
Okay,
it
so
looked good.
see,
It
like
looked good, yeah.
that's to me that's studying the sport.
Yeah.
I pay attention. Like
Yeah.
it's not. I want to like preface this with like it's not me being, because I have a plan. I've
Yeah.
got a training program. I've got a plan, and I follow that plan.
Mhm.
But like today on the plan was squats, Roger squats, and the Roger squat was taken. I don't like the squats on the Smith machine, and I was just like, and I was in a hurry because I had
Yeah.
clients, so I was like. In my head, I was like, I saw a girl do these like sumo deadlift squat.
Yeah.
Was that what they are,
Like,
Cody? Sumo
yeah.
deadlifts? Okay.
Mhm.
On the Smith machine.
That's it.
And she like ranted and raved about them. So it's not like I'm over here like, oh, I need to do what she's doing because
Yes.
she did it and she's got glutes. That's not what it was. I am just constantly, me as an athlete, am trying to find exercises and movements that I engage well with my glutes, so then I
Mhm.
can take that information back to my coach and be
Yeah.
like,
This
and
really
s-
helped.
works.
Yeah.
yes. So that is me studying.
Yeah.
And then I did it today and I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And I love these.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, hey, I've got this exercise that maybe now I can be part of my program and I can progressively overload on that and really focus on form. And
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. I've listened to like on podcasts or other girls online talk about, like, that's where I learned a lot about feet and toe engagement way months ago, a year ago probably. And now I heard someone talk about it, and then I heard it again later, and then heard it again later. And I'm like, okay, there's something to this. So now I'm going to really look into it and really ask the experts in my corner, like, how do I implement this? So that's studying the sport. I followed girls who
absolutely.
struggled to grow their glutes. What are things like, that's where it's not like comparing and copying, but it's like, okay, we have the same struggle.
Yes.
What are you doing? Let's
Yeah.
help each other out.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah.
what it, yeah.
And that's a huge part of the bodybuilding community. And I know sometimes you might try something and decide this is not for me. It
Yeah.
looks
That doesn't
really good when
work.
she does it. But, oh my God, this
Yeah.
is not for me. Or you might ask your coach and he said, this is why we're not going to do
Correct.
that. And that is also okay.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
just like what you're saying, looking, suggesting, and just, taking in the
Asking.
things that are positive and then just getting rid of the things
I
that
did
aren't good for you.
the same thing. So that's why this prep, so previous coaching, previous preps, I was always eating a ton of protein going into the day before show and the day of show, like full on still 4 to 5 ounces of protein a meal, which if you're doing that and your coach has you do that, that's fine. Talk to them. It didn't work for me. It doesn't work for my stomach and digestion for show day. And so I was following top Olympians like that, they're talking about waist size and core control on stage and like what strategies they do, and they just don't eat as much protein the day before and the day of. They keep it very minimal and just focus on carbs and fats.
Because you're not needing the protein.
You don't need
to
the protein
be
for one day. Like, it's one morning. And so
not building muscle.
Right, you're not going to lose muscle from, and now it does keep you satiated to where maybe you're not as hungry, because don't get me
who
wrong, who
cares?
cares? On show day, I don't care to be hungry. I'll be hungry for that tiny waist. I'll do anything for that tiny waist.
Yeah.
And
You don't
so
feel
I
hungry
asked
for
my
sure.
coach about it. I didn't, I asked and was like, hey, I've been hearing this, like, and
What are your thoughts?
what are your thoughts? Yeah, it'll keep you less full. Like, it'll
Yeah.
just lessen your stomach, less for you to digest. And so that's what I do now, and I love it. I love how my core feels on show day because of just how I do things now. So
And
that's
I thought about that. Like my last show, my old coach, had me randomly for the first time ever eat like big steak right before I went on stage, and my waist was thicker than it had been the whole season. And so I was like thinking about it. I was like, oh my god.
and some people are
I,
probably
like,
fine doing that.
Yeah.
Like, it just
Yeah.
you got to like test and
I remember
try.
you had a burger or something. before one of
steak
the-
and fries.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, I had a burger
Was it I forget.
the show before, and
Okay.
it looked
My-
good,
my
but it's the
mind
day
remembers it
before.
'cause I was in prep and I was.
You're wanting that.
jealous.
Oh, you're
I'm
wanting
like,
that. I want that to be
had
me.
a burger.
But like I think like she had a different athlete do that, and it worked really well.
Okay.
But like
Yeah.
we didn't test that, which
Yeah.
we should have, especially on this level.
Yeah.
And so, but like I kept thinking about it like all after it and being like, we had this whole discussion because I think we talked about this actually around that time period, and I was like, I shouldn't be eating this much protein on show day. Like, why? And I think she wanted me to have the fats and like,
Yeah.
etc. But we could have done it a better
Different
way
Mm-hmm.
to keep my waistline tighter. So I'm really looking forward to kind of like implementing those kind of strategies this year too, because I've been thinking and learning and
Yeah, just collecting
Better at
possibilities
Mm-hmm.
and
yeah. And then going back to like the training aspect, most coaches, if they write you a training plan and stuff, they might say something like a lift that's like, let's say it just says like 5 by 15 to 20 adductors on the adductor machine.
yeah.
Well, there's different angles and ways to do it. Like if you're leaning forward or if you're leaning back or
Right.
if you're more upright. And for some people's different body mechanics,
Mhm.
it might engage the glutes better at a 45 versus a 90 or like an
Yeah.
angle. And same with like if your coach says Roger squats, well, like what if your knee has more extension over the toe, or if you keep your weight back in your heels, like range of motion, things like that. Like I love watching videos on like how like if the plan just says squats, like there are
How you can add
so
variations
many
to it.
ways
So
to
many
do
ways,
it.
so many
I'm like,
ways.
what do I need to grow? What is this squat's intention?
Mm-hmm.
How do I make my form and execution and range of motion, everything be what I need it to be for that exercise? And like I have really long like femurs and like so squats are really difficult, and so I like certain variations more just because over
Do
time.
I have long?
You're like looking at your
Because
legs.
squats are difficult for me. Cody, no?
Yeah.
Lo needs to, for her to squat, she has to be more tabletopped at the with her back to
Mhm.
have a better like without hurting herself.
Yeah.
And so it makes for that's called a low bar squat.
Yeah, low bar squats work way better for me.
But it just kind of makes squatting in general suck. With
I just am not good at squats. My body is just like quads.
Yeah.
You're just
Mine's like
yeah.
my knees.
Yeah.
That's why those sumo deadlifts were so awesome. Like
Yeah.
no quad. It was all glute. Like and like
I
inner
wonder how
inner
like,
glute.
you would do with a
Yeah.
sumo squat.
How do I sumo? Okay,
It's
well I'll
just-
play with
Yeah.
that.
I do
Do
a lot of
sumo
that.
squats.
I
I
do a lot
love
of
Sumo
stuff,
squats?
but I
So,
do a
yeah.
lot of pulsing at the very bottom because I find that my glutes are engaged from like here to here. Like I don't stand all the way up.
You're better at the
Yeah.
bottom of the
I'm
movement.
better at the bottom of the movement. Another one with kickbacks. I don't like it all the way down at my ankle. So I like shorter ranges of motion for my glutes
Yes,
in
up
general.
higher at the knee.
Yeah, so I put it on my knee and then elevating my foot and then pushing
So it can
into
hang
my
up.
big toe with the weighted foot. Helps
Yes.
the most. And then pulses in general, pulses and holds for me. That's
See,
the only way. I
this is-
can't do this whole like swing thing. It doesn't work.
Yeah,
well.
like
I have to do
Like you don't do like a full range of motion.
Mm-mm.
You're like half rep pull. Like you're like
yeah, and even the pulsing.
that's okay.
It's like
I'm
this.
noticing
It's
the
like
same
slight
thing. When I do
movement
full
because it's
range of
so
motion, I like
Yeah.
lose it. It's like
Yeah.
gone, and then it's like my hip taken up.
Yeah.
No matter how slow. See, everyone's different. Like,
Yeah,
everyone's
but I'm
different.
learning these
Yeah.
things. Like, if I didn't pay attention to people, like, I
Mhm.
don't know, and like Steph has glutes, and so it's
Yeah.
like, so
And I
it's
learned
not
from
that I
Daraja.
should.
I saw that from Daraja.
But like,
Hill.
it's not that like I should train like her, but maybe
Mhm.
some of these, an example of studying is like maybe some of these tactics are good for me to try
Yeah.
or implement and add in from what I am doing as well. And from someone who doesn't have a problem
Yeah.
with like, I don't know. It's
Engaging
just,
as
you can
much, yeah.
try it. It never
And if
hurts.
your plan
Yeah.
says
To try.
kickbacks, it's like, okay, well, what type of how I do my kickback,
Right.
how's that going to work best for me?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you can have a trainer help you,
Yep.
or you
Mhm.
can study other people's things, and that's all studying. Even hiring a trainer is
Mhm.
studying.
It
So
is,
you
yeah.
listen to their points and their cues and what they see and your body
Mhm.
mechanics and stuff like that too.
Mhm.
So there's so much like studying to do with
It's
training
overwhelming.
styles.
It is, and I love that check-in with trainers like every 3 to 6 months. I love like having someone new just watch me work out to see what things am I doing wrong or what things could I do better. Is
Well, it's
always, I
kinda
think, is very
like-
helpful.
I even like it's every trainer, coach, like they've got different ways of doing things. They're
Mhm.
different eyes for a reason.
Yeah,
Or they
Yeah.
have different specialties. They have different things that they're just better at. And
Mhm.
so
yeah,
it's good to get those perspectives because it doesn't mean that what someone else was telling you to do is wrong or anything.
Mhm.
It's just different. And
Mhm.
then now these are just more tools in your toolbox that you
Yeah.
can use as an athlete.
And something might click with you better.
Right. A cue
Exactly.
given. It's
like
yeah.
Goldilocks.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's too cold, too soft. So you got to find what's right for you. So overall, I think that the ideas that we want you guys to take away from this is just making sure that the resources that you're using are informative
Mhm.
and are really helping you toward your goals
Mm-hmm.
and your current goals. So anything that we mentioned, like we said, Instagram is a great one. NPC News Online. Podcasts, YouTube,
Mhm.
show recaps, the shows themselves. So all of these things I would definitely look into who your favorite athletes are, people that you aspire to look like or present yourself as in terms of as an athlete. What else did I miss?
Yeah.
Did I miss
No, I think
something?
that's perfect. I think when you're looking for information to follow is, when you're like looking at like on YouTube channels, NPC News Online has a YouTube channel.
Mhm.
You can start there and they have interviews and you'll then learn who the judges are. You'll learn who, some of the top athletes are. And then a lot of those, top athletes, they're with pretty, top coaches, teams as well,
Mhm.
who've been around for a really long time and have worked with these judges for a long time and have gotten a lot of feedback on various different athletes. So they just have a lot of already built up skills and knowledge and that they're sharing. And so those coaches have YouTube channels a lot of the time that you can
Yeah.
follow and get information from them. Sometimes those teams, those podcasts have those judges and show promoters, like those experts and leaders in the industry, they have them come on their channels. And so those are good ways to get information.
Absolutely.
Some podcasts that I think we all listen to are, there's a bikini one. It's Behind the Bikini. It's got two pros, one Olympian on it, and they're coaches, they're posing coaches, and they're on a pretty large team that does very well in the industry, and so they've got a lot of valuable information.
Yeah, and they do a bikini recap.
They do recaps and review
predictions.
yes, and they explain go into detail of a lot of like whys and that kind of thing.
And I like watching Bikini the Brain.
Adam,
Yes.
Which is
Adam,
Adam
Vinia,
and
that's a
Ashley
very good one.
Kay. Because she's one of the most winning pros, a lot of experience, and her coach, and he's very experienced with lots of athletes and been around a long time. I like also watching Confessions of a Bikini Pro.
Yeah.
Celeste Rains-Turk, because she does a lot of mindset work with athletes, and so that's kind of really cool too, because there's a lot of relatable information on her podcast.
And she's also
We've
bringing
both
on,
been on there.
they've
As
you guys
guests.
have been
that's
on
right,
it, yeah.
that's right,
And but she's like interviewing you guys, like professionals, and so you guys are able to be on there and talk about your experience throughout the sport, talk about your feedback, talk about the things you're doing and why, and so that's
They're
a good
very
way to,
relatable
Very
episodes.
relatable.
yeah.
More so on mindset and how people handle things
Mhm.
versus like the actual in and outs of show stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yes. Talking about mindset, I also really like the Say More podcast with
Yes.
Laura Lee and Phoebe.
Oh yeah,
That's
that's
a
good
great
So
one.
they talk a lot about what they're feeling going into preps, out of preps, between preps, all of those things. And both of them
They're
are
both-
Olympians.
It just
Top
makes you feel more
Olympians, yeah.
normal. Like it makes you
Absolutely.
feel just like,
Yeah.
oh, you're
Yeah.
a top Olympian. That's like
Exactly.
feeling these same feels,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
okay
It's
to be like,
okay. It's
yeah.
absolutely okay. I think their last one was talking about not striving for perfection, which is
and taking
just
a
along
break
that
from
same
like I
line.
think they took a break from their podcast and they
Yeah.
just like needed to like and it's
Yeah.
all
Group.
okay.
Yes.
It's all
Yeah,
okay. And like
exactly.
they can't so it's just that's cool. It's
Mhm,
Yeah, and
mhm.
I like following Paul. So I
The
mentioned that
Pro
earlier.
Physique
Pro Physique
Code.
Code.
Yeah.
Because he has other coaches come on there.
Yes.
That are from his team.
It's not just him.
Sometimes
Mhm.
he's not even on it, and they has multiple coaches who have different expertise, and they share a lot of
lifestyle
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
competing.
Mhm.
So
Team Atlas also has
Yeah.
one where it has a lot of
Mhm.
information as well, and so that's also a great podcast to listen to too.
Yeah.
trying to think. I
And
think
then-
that's kind of
our
So kind of the big
podcast,
ones.
Bikini Besties
Yes,
podcast.
ours. You're already here.
yes.
So.
yes. So you already knew that one.
Right.
No.
So, but hopefully, like following us more,
Mhm.
some of our other episodes, like going back and looking through some of our topics, you can maybe look at it with a different eye of like, oh, I'm not just listening this to listen to our favorite people talk. It's more like I'm going to be taking this. What can I take away from
Right.
these episodes to be a better athlete myself, or to be a better at my own fitness journey?
Absolutely. And so any questions, any comments, anything that you needed follow-up information on, we're always open to DMs, either on the Bikini Besties podcast page or on our own personal pages.
Always.
Any of those work. I know we're all very, very open to feedback.
Yeah, love
Yes.
helping everybody
Yeah,
out. And
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
see if we can all get better on our fitness journey together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us for another episode today. And I think that wraps up episode 18.
Woohoo.
Let's
Ooh.
go.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later, guys.